Welcome back to another episode of the Scoop Around the Loop. It is St. Patrick's Day. We are all wearing green except for Brady. Brady, what is your excuse?
My socks are green.
Pinch. Show us.
Yeah, prove it.
I
Oh,
don't have my socks on right now.
You're
My
like
shoes are on.
you're a Notre Dame fan. You don't just have like
No, I actually do have an all green shirt that I just forgot to wear today.
okay. You're locked in on business. I understand.
brothers.
This is gonna be a Monday episode because the brackets just came out, so we're gonna get to that at the end, but we're gonna do our normal stuff to begin with. And what we are starting with is Waukee has officially announced their new development plans. We've got $400 million campus that they're planning on making, 220 acres of land. They're going to be building a new city hall, a library, a senior housing mixed use space, and they're adding on to Sugar Creek Golf Course, which I am pretty excited about. The plan is going to be taking a little bit. We're looking at it's going to occur over 20 to 30 years. Initial buildings will be within 7 to 10. Golf course expansion will be 12 to 15. But what do you guys think of this?
Well, the irony is that there's senior housing that's going to go in there, and by the time it's done, I would qualify for senior housing. Like that's the crazy thing about it.
I thought you were like 26.
What's that?
It's hard to get excited for it personally because
Yeah,
are away, and again, I might be dead by then.
they do, Andrew. Maybe you know this for sure. They do already own all of this land, correct?
A good chunk of it, I'd say. I mean, I think that's where like the bus depot is currently. It's kind of like where you see like the lake kind of in the middle of that graphic is kind of I think where the bus depot is. The golf course is already there. Obviously, it's not
9 holes of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So to the right, down the middle of that entire graphic, I believe is Ute Avenue, and so it's gonna kind of redirect to the northwest. So Ute Avenue won't go east or north south at that point. It'll go. It kind of looks like it's going to be similar to what West Des Moines has with their city hall, kind of a hybrid of that and like a West Glen maybe. But more, yeah, just not really like a retail space, more of a civic space, kind of like I mean, it's going to be like the city campus. So, but I would kind of liken it to like how West Des Moines has all of their kind of city buildings for the most part on their, with the library, city hall, LRC, all over there.
And with it this far out, I mean, you can kind of assume that some of this is going to change. It's my understanding that they for sure need some new city buildings, but it kind of gets you excited that at least they have a plan somewhat. Is with this going on and just the direction Waukee is going in general, can you guys think of anything that Waukee doesn't currently have that they need or what you guys would want to see?
I mean, the only thing they don't really have is like a West Glen or Jordan Creek, but again, that's basically the same thing. Or like that part of West Des Moines to me is might as well be Waukee and vice versa. So I don't think they need that, but that's kind of the one thing that they want to have is like a shopping area with multiple.
And
which is
to be honest,
which is the area on Target's supposed to kind of be that. But,
I was gonna say, as soon as that gets built out, they have like a shopping center where everything can kind of be centered around. But as it sits right now, Waukee is kind of spread out as far as places you would want to go and be.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they can, I can't really think of any big like city parks or anything like that. Like and I mean, obviously you need a river in this case, but like a Raccoon River area like that. But again, here in Central Iowa, we're pretty spoiled in terms of proximity to things. I know when I'm sitting here in Johnston, I think of driving out to the far west side of Waukee. It's such a long drive to me. But again, if you go to any big city, that's like the drive to the grocery store. So that's the thing about it. I mean, it'd be if they could find a way to field a professional sports team, that'd be sweet. Like an NFL team or NBA team, something like that. It'd be
I
pretty
think the
cool.
Des Moines Metro just needs to get a little bit bigger.
Do like, they're the Dallas Cowboys, but they're really in Arlington. They could
Yeah.
something would be in Waukee.
Yeah, realistically, if you think about it, if that were to somehow happen, if there would be a Des Moines team, they wouldn't actually be in Des Moines, and Waukee would be a logical place that they have land and something like that could go. You are
Yeah,
right, Tyler.
but it'd be wild because it follows some of those like Facebook pages. Like the NFL could say, "Hey, we're bringing a city to Waukee," and a lot of the people would be like, "I don't want that. I want another Fairway, or like we need a Dodge dealership or whatever. I mean, they have it, but it'd be some like just some off the wall thing that people want. It's like getting an NFL team for crying out loud. Bucky's I think would be really cool. But I read an article recently. I don't know if it was a Register or what it was, but they basically said there's too many gas stations in Des Moines.
I read that too, and they being on the interstate, like in a rural area, if possible, like not in the city. So if Iowa did get a Bucky's, it'd be somewhere in between Adel and Council Bluffs, probably, I'd imagine, or something like that. Like
they don't want the smoke with Casey's. That's just what they're saying.
That article also talked about how the east side of the state has the biggest truck stop in the world, or whatever. And that's
Davenport.
The model it would take in a way. It'd be like a tourist attraction.
So if I was getting a Bucky's, it most likely is not going to be in the Des Moines area, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it'll be on the way to Council Bluffs, I think. I would, or maybe down by Lamoni or something like that.
Well, and honestly, obviously Come and Go got bought out by Maverick, but Des Moines is, you still consider Des Moines as a headquarter for Come and Go. Then you have the Casey's headquartered here, and Hy-Vee is headquartered here, and obviously they have a lot of gas stations. So, I can see the point, but it still would be cool to get a Bucky's.
I will say this: if you look at the western suburbs, so not including Des Moines proper, not including Ankeny, there really isn't a whole lot of public golf courses. So I am excited to see Sugar Creek get expanded to 18 holes, however long it takes. Because you're looking at Willow Creek, you're looking at Beaver Creek, probably missing a few, but there really isn't. It's all country clubs. So seeing Sugar Creek get added onto is kind of exciting.
Mm-hmm.
We need public golf courses.
We offered on a house, or we had some clients offer on a house out on like as far west on Ashworth as you can go. And originally they kind of wanted to be more in the mix of things, but I brought this plan up to them. And that, along with, it's not, Waukee's obviously growing in that direction too, but they were like, I think this plan kind of brought them some ease because this is a long-term house for them that they won't, that part of Waukee won't always just be.
But you didn't tell them that this is going to be done next year, did you?
No, I actually made the joke that maybe you won't ever see this because maybe you'll want to sell before it takes place. But if this is a forever home, eventually you'll reap the benefits of this. So
cool. So, oh man, I kept Meadowlark Drive there. Sorry guys, I messed up the slide. This is housing statistics for Grimes, 50111. You guys sold Meadowlark last night, correct?
Yep, last night with 3 offers on the table and had to cancel. Have been declining showings all morning, so maybe this can be worked into the stats for Grimes. There's definitely a need for move-in ready, low $300,000 ish price range homes.
Cool. let's walk through the stats really quick, and then you guys can tell me what jumps out to you. When we get to sold to list price percentage, I will explain that crazy statistic right there. Month supply of inventory, 3.7 months. So we're looking at neutral, kind of, sort of, still a seller's market. Inventory has decreased 2% in the last year. This year so far, they've actually sold quite a few more units than they did last year as well. Median days on market has stayed flat. It's 25 days. That's the same exact as what it was last year. List price, sold to list price percentage, on average is 103%. There was a D.R. Horton house in Grimes that I don't know what happened, but it was originally listed in the low fours and ended up selling for $2.5 million. So I don't know if that was a data entry error or if I don't know.
That was certainly a data.
You throw that one out. You just throw that one out. It doesn't count.
Yeah, I could have done that. So it probably wouldn't have changed too much from last year. Last year it was 98.1%. Median sold price is 383,870. Last year was 332,500. Looks pretty similar to the rest of the western suburbs, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
And again, I mean, I think kind of to my point earlier about like the distance between things, I've found that I mean, especially with the clientele that I'm working with, mostly, you know, people that don't have big family. If they do have families, it's with small, very young children. Like, it just seems like people are open to sides of the map. So whether it's Grimes, Johnston, Urbandale, in this case, I think a lot of buyers in these areas would live in any of them. So I think that's part of the reason why you see a lot of the same numbers for all these like surrounding Des Moines areas, is because it's the same market for all of them.
and we could talk about this really quick because I do think you kind of brought up an interesting point. When you guys talk to people about location that they want to live at, what are some of the most common things that come up as far as I want to be close to this, or this is really important to me?
I mean, things to do. I mean, I think that's why Grimes, and not necessarily like to Tyler's point earlier about Waukee, like parks and stuff, but like, I think the thing that with Grimes is they went from having like a fairway to now, and then I remember there was like a really, really like neighborhood grocery store back in the 90s, but now they've got a Fairway and Aldi's, a Hy-Vee, Walmart, and Menards. I mean, has groceries too, but like they've got all of those things right there. So, you know, someone might be, 25 minutes from downtown because you have to, jog a little bit to get to the interstate. They don't really need to go anywhere else for anything once they're home. And then Target's not that far down the road in Urbandale. So they got some good restaurants, I think. So I think those are the things that people, care about. Like Grimes has the new sports fields too. They have 2 quick stars. I mean, they've got everything. I should probably be looking there.
Brady, what else do people want to be close to? Brady, you're muted.
Sorry, I was typing on my keyboard earlier. But yeah, I would just say the same thing as Andrew said. I mean, a lot of people just want to be kind of in the middle of things with stuff to do in a growing area, and kind of that Grimes and Waukee area offers that. Ankeny's seems like it's mostly kind of grown out. There's still some room there, but yeah, I mean, 2 quick stars. It's like Andrew's dream, it sounds like.
How close to work are people mentioning that they want to be? Like, are people bringing that up at all? How far of a drive it is?
Not really in my experience, no. I mean, obviously, no, not really. Again, I feel like in Des Moines, if you work downtown, it's 15 minutes no matter where you go, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just doesn't really matter what side of town you're on. Obviously, again, people with older kids, the school district matters a lot. Like Andrew and I have some clients that they have to have a house in a specific neighborhood, and once that house comes on, they're gonna move right away, but they're not willing to look outside of that neighborhood. So obviously that has a big impact. I've had, I would just, and then along those lines, even with people my age that are starting their families or are going to start their families and are thinking about school in a few years, fortunately, a lot of people just don't want Des Moines public schools. And then I think it really just comes down to people either wanting the west side suburbs, the east side suburbs, or Ankeny. And then I find that it's just all a matter of where they grew up at. Like we've talked about on this show, we're all pretty biased to the west side. But clients of mine that grew up in Ankeny, they almost always buy in Ankeny. And clients that grew up on the east side of Des Moines, they buy in Altoona and Pleasant Hill and Bondurant, it seems.
What does Norwalk classify as? Is Norwalk a western suburb?
The west side.
Southwest.
Yeah. Okay.
But I kind of group that in my head as like a western suburb. I found that a lot of people that grow up on the west side do like.
I mean, it borders West Des Moines, so I think
Norwalk,
right,
being in that area.
Yeah, I just think it's really interesting because if you look at stats for the reasons people put down why they moved, location is one of the most common answers, and I always try to talk to my buyers and make sure that they're locked down on wherever they're looking, that they're confident that they're going to be happy with that location for as long as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, here's kind of unique, and it's maybe not unique because there's probably a lot of places across the country like this, but somewhere like where Andrew and I's sister lives in Castle Rock, Douglas County in Colorado, politically is a complete opposite of the northern, the suburbs in between Castle Rock and Denver. So if you lean,
or the state as a whole,
or the state as a whole, like if you lean, especially in those areas, or maybe it's blue states and around a blue city, and you are on the right side of things, you're going to gravitate towards certain areas that are more red leaning. But obviously here in Iowa, like the only blue part of the map is Des Moines proper, so all around again. I don't think people have a huge preference in my experience, as long as it's on the side of the map that they want.
Okay. Let's do one more segment really quick before we get into bracket stuff. I thought it would be interesting. This isn't going to be too long of a segment, but I thought it'd be interesting if we each ran through how many hours, what our typical day looks like as far as hours that we're working. And I know there's a ton of variance, right? But just to give people a peek behind the curtain of what our typical hours are. Andrew, do you want to start?
I just got a text. I'm sorry. Like a phishing attempt. Our typical hours, you mean throughout the whole day?
Yeah.
I think it's all, for me, it's interesting because Fridays I sometimes feel like I'm going to have nothing to do, and Fridays usually end up being the busiest day for me. I think a myth about what we do is, we just get to do whatever we want, and I think that comes from, having flexibility in our schedule. You don't have to be at the office at 8 a.m. You don't necessarily get to turn off your phone at 5 p.m. But I would say typically I try to use those hours, when our clients are at work and aren't able to communicate as much. I try to use those hours as the time to get our paperwork, our administrative stuff done. I try to set aside time every day to look at birthdays and send birthday cards or any, marketing or mail we're going to do. But I would say that, and I'm not really great at it, setting aside a time during the week when I could kind of have a day off. I would say it's pretty easy to work 7 days a week. even though not every day of the week is a 8, 10 hour, 12-hour day. But this is the time of year too where my wife will say, "Are you showing any houses today?" And the answer is usually, "I don't know, but you can plan on it," because it usually, as homes come on, the market, we have buyers that want to look at them, and so I think it just kind of, it's a really long answer, but I think it depends on the time of year. And I would say that, as I've gone in my career, like I've been able to kind of plan, like we have a closing coming up on this date, so I know what I need to kind of do in these couple of days. But for the most part, it's so unpredictable. You just never know when a house is going to come available. You never know when someone's going to want to look at it. You never know when someone needs you to come look at their house right away because they need the list, or whatever the case may be. You can't plan out. You can plan out like marketing and stuff like that, but you can't really plan out in a month or two like what sort of business you're going to have, because you just don't know.
Tyler, is that pretty much the same for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of variance to it. I would say, yeah, that depending on time of the year, it seems like in the spring and summer, you work a lot on weekends compared to, the winter. I find myself not doing as much work on the weekends as I do like this time of year and in the summer. But for the sake of your question, I would say my typical day, I wake up, I have Isaiah because Hannah goes to work really early. So I have Isaiah first part of the day. I get him ready, drop him off at daycare. I get my workout in. And then from about 10 through lunch, early afternoon, I try my best to kind of like work on the business, whether that's like marketing, social media posts, reaching, kind of getting organized. Kind of, I guess, lead gen would be a good way to put it, like 10 to early afternoon, whether that's, working out, reaching out to people to set up appointments. And then usually late afternoon, early evening is when I'm out showing houses. And then, in the evening, family time. And then once Isaiah's down for bed and it's dark outside, I usually find myself on my computer and watching something on TV, on my computer, working on various things, whether it's replying to people or cleaning up paperwork, things like that. And then on the weekends, I find from like 11 to 4, whether it's open houses or showings or lunch appointments, is usually kind of like my work schedule on the weekends this time of year. 11 to 4, I would say, with a workout in between or before that, ideally.
Brady, what's your daily routine been like so far? Muted.
I keep muting myself. Well, okay, so I'll just go over the last couple of days. So I'll get in normally about like 9:45, 10, maybe a couple minutes after 10. And then stay till around 2 or 3-ish. And then right now I'm working on just sending out a bunch of letters and everything like that. There's some different stuff with homestead tax credit. Me and Andrew have been talking about that for a little bit, so sending that stuff out. I'm doing that for my neighborhood, so just going to the assessor's page, looking at all those houses. And then there's another one I'm doing based off of just different neighborhoods, where looking up kind of doing like a market analysis on their house and then figuring out what it's worth and sending it to different people around town and seeing what they think. But doing a lot of letters right now. And then, yeah, on the weekends, like Tyler said, open houses. And
yeah, I would say, I guess in short, a good way to think about it maybe would be like during normal people's work hours, like 9 to 5, typically we're working, would it be on our business? Again, lead generation, staying organized, marketing. Whereas outside of work hours, where we're like working in our business, where we're actually out trying to help people buy and sell homes, because that's when other people have time to buy and sell homes.
Yeah, I think kind of, Tyler gets started a little later because he's working out, different things. Brady mentioned 9, 10 o'clock. I mean, I try to get in here pretty early, early being 8 o'clock. Sometimes the doors aren't even unlocked here at the building yet, but that's just because I'm sharpest in the morning. Like I get to like 4 or 5 o'clock, like, and I'm not really with it. Uh, so like that's where I try to do it. But I think one of the misconceptions going back to that people have is you just show up, you just work a couple hours, you sell a house, you make 6 figures. Well, it's not really like that. I think as you get on in your career, or if you just have a really really good network of rich people, um, that could happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it really does require work. You know, I don't sit at a desk for 40 hours a week, but and I know you guys can attest to this. We work more than 40 hours a week. It's just done differently. Sometimes it's at a bar having a drink with somebody talking about houses. It's at a coffee shop. It's at an open house. It's it's never it's never the same 40 hours. But I'll also say this for anyone that's listening that is like, how do I grow my business in anything? You can't get 40 hours of reward if you're not putting in 40 hours of work. And I think people want to make it rich and strike it rich and do like have the benefit of those big sales and stuff, but unless you're putting in the time, like it just doesn't work that way. So that's what we do it's unconventional. It's not the 8 to 5, 9 to 5, sit in an office. um, but we do stuff, and from 8 to 5 or whatever, however you want to group that, is like Tyler said, it's the business side of things. These are things we have to do. Whereas like after those and outside of those hours, whether it's during the week or on the weekend, that's when we're really kind of producing, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's where the business comes from. So
Yeah, and I think it's
what's your day look like, since you're asking us?
it's pretty much the same thing as Tyler's, except for a little earlier because I don't have a kid to get ready and drop off at daycare. So I'm normally starting my day like around 7:30 or so. And I have pretty much time blocked off a good 3 to 4 hour run of just doing the stuff that you guys were talking about as far as working on your business, getting to inbox zero, developing any new sort of marketing that I'm doing, making sure paperwork is looking good, um, checking in on and reaching out to people that I need to follow up with. And then I have pretty much the rest of the day free to either do stuff like this or make new connections with people, or just get personal life stuff done, you know. Um, you, I realized about a year or two in that if you don't get some of that quote unquote on the business stuff done early in the morning, it's never going to get done. Because once lunchtime basically hits, you're kind of a victim of your clients. Like as soon as they want to go see a house, you have to be available to show it. Um, if a listing needs to be checked on for some reason, if offer comes in, all that stuff tends to happen after 12. So I've always just kind of kept that stuff available.
I think this is a good way to kind of uh, tie a bow on it too. Is it's just crazy. Like we've talked about the growth of these cities and how much they've grown and stuff, and traffic is getting uh, kind of, for lack of, not to be dramatic, but it's more intense. Like there's way more traffic than there used to be. So to go from my house in Clive to, you know, like where the Hy-Vee is in Waukee, it takes 25 minutes now. Whereas, it used to take 10 to 15 because it's just a straight shot. So with that, in mind, like going to pick up a sign, or going to get a document signed, like those are things that really kind of add up. I think I've mentioned before, I spent 3 hours one day getting 2 signatures from people because it just took that long to get where we had to go. And so those type of things, Thomas talking about like the afternoon, it kind of becomes like the sands of the hourglass, like it's like, oh, I got time, and all of a sudden it's gone. It never fails. That it just kind of disappears, it feels like.
Right. And like that closing that we had last week that I picked up checks to close it, they closed in the south side of Des Moines. Our office is in West Des Moines, and I needed to go to both the corporate office and our personal office. That alone took 2 hours almost, I think.
Well, and after the closing, you had to go to Ankeny for an inspection. So, like, yeah, I mean, like those are easy tasks, I would say. I mean, that's a lot of windshield time, but it takes time. And so when you're sitting in your car driving, you can't, be doing your other business things, your files, your marketing or whatever it is. So that's the unpredictable part of the day, I think, is sometimes you just don't know how long some of those remedial tasks will take. So
Okay. Before we get into the fun part of this, though, I do want to point out to people that are listening,
Shout out to
you
Nate.
could you
Yeah,
can
nice.
reach out to us basically anytime.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like, if I'm not asleep or out with my fiance, I'm going to answer your call. I'm going to answer your text message. And
Nate
honestly,
Main. Nate Main, since you're watching, you can call me literally anytime. If I'm sleeping, I'll wake up. And if I'm on a day with Hannah, I'll pick up. Since you're watching, Nate Main.
Hannah understands. Hannah likes it.
Jed doesn't understand. So,
Jen.
all right. Are we ready to get into the fun part of this?
Yeah.
I'm excited for this part.
Andrew, first, do you want to describe the competition that we are going to be doing as a Scoop Around the Loop / Springer team contest?
And I guess back to Nate Mains one more time. I'm pretty sure he's won one of our bracket challenges. He's a hoop head. I'm pretty sure he won it a couple years ago, Andrew.
I don't remember. I remember one time someone won and we figured out that they weren't even in the state. They just hop around to do these challenges. And so we said, no, like this challenge is for our people, like the people that support us, encourage us, all that stuff. We've always called it the Springer Brother Bracket Challenge because we've been doing it for a while. But you know what? The four of us here, we're calling it the Scoop Bracket Challenge, sponsored by the Springer Brothers, Thomas Minert and Brady Holland. We used to do a $500 grand prize. We're going to do a couple different things now. We're going to spread the wealth around a little bit. We're going to have a $300 grand prize. We're going to have a $150 second place prize and a $50 third place prize. It's no fee to enter. And then right here on this show, you have to fill out a contact form so we get your info to make sure you're legit. I literally got a message right now from our website guy that he's going to get the contact form working. So good timing there. As soon as we have that up, we'll launch the site or launch the page. You have to like Springer Brothers. You have to like Thomas Minert and Brady Holland's, all of our Facebook pages, and then this Scoop page as well. 4 pages. Pretty easy. We will right now live. We're going to fill out a bracket. Each one of us has a region. That's going to be our official Scoop bracket. And so anyone that beats that bracket, we're going to give a Scoop T-shirt.
Okay.
That sound good?
Okay. Are we entering individually as well?
Yeah, we're eligible to win because I don't want to give away money if I don't have to. I want to try to win.
I'm just going to go ahead and take that money. I'm sorry, guys.
You're allowed, because there's 3 places. You are allowed. I kind of threw that T-shirt in there. Is that agreeable by everybody? This is a live meeting.
If you're the one designing the shirt and getting it ordered, I'll chip in and have the shirt made.
It'll be a giant spoon on the front of the shirt, and that's all it'll be. So if you want it,
that or our logo, one or the other. But it'll be a nice shirt, and so we're gonna get right into the bracket. Who's first? Do you want to do
Top
South?
left?
So who's
That's
doing
me.
South? All right, so we're gonna zoom in on your face. Well, it's the best way.
Yeah, let's back out of that. It's not zooming.
How do we want to start with? Do you want me to just go round by round?
Yeah, go round of 64 and then round of 32, and provide a little bit of commentary with your picks, Thomas.
Okay, we got Auburn versus whoever state, doesn't matter. Auburn's gonna roll. And then we've got
Louisville and Creighton.
We got Louisville and Creighton. Creighton, that's an easy W for Creighton.
This could have implications because as of right now, I don't think Iowa's hired their their men's basketball coach. This could have implications on who ends up at Iowa. Okay, so if Creighton gets bounced, there's a chance that Greg
McDermott's
McDermott
gone.
goes to Indiana.
Okay.
And if McDermott leaves Creighton, DeVries would be a natural at Creighton, which would leave probably, I would think, Ben McCollum to go to Iowa. So there's some implications here. Your prediction's Creighton, however. I think the longer Creighton lasts, the door that's open, to Indiana might get shut. So if that makes sense. So your prediction's Creighton, though?
Yeah, Creighton's gonna roll in that game. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not
a
afraid
lot
of
of,
Louisville.
lot of confidence coming out of you.
Michigan versus UC San Diego. I've watched Michigan once. I was not impressed. This is going to be your classic 12-5 upset. UC San Diego. I am a believer in
7'1" point guard.
What?
You don't like Michigan's 7'1" point guard, Wolf? He's
No.
one of my favorite players to watch. Okay, this is your side of the bracket, even if I disagree with 2 of your 3 picks so far.
Hey, at some point there's got to be upsets,
Yeah.
and so sometimes people might say like,
Sorry, Thomas. Sorry, my fault. Pick away.
I am a believer in Texas A&M, and they're going to beat Yale. Yale's a bunch of nerds. San Diego
last year.
San Diego State is going to beat Ole Miss. They're one of the SEC teams that I do not believe in. Sorry, my dog is freaking out right now.
Is Ole Miss where Chris Beard is?
Is that where he's at?
I don't know. Look it up real quick. What are the odds? So it has it's 67% odds. Okay.
Okay, here's the deal with this Iowa State Lipscomb game.
So you got San Diego State, is what you're saying.
San Diego State, yeah.
They're going to beat UNC, and then they're going to beat Ole Miss. Okay.
And I don't even know what that first 4 game is. San Diego State's playing UNC, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's no way UNC wins that game. That should have been West Virginia. I'm sorry.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay. I wanted to find any reason for Lipscomb to beat Iowa State because I just don't like the vibes on Iowa State right now. But we're taking Iowa State. I think with them announcing that Gilbert is out, I think that adds a lot more certainty, and then they can finally just start playing as a team together and figure it out that way. I'm going to be honest, guys. I don't know a ton about Marquette, New Mexico, but we're taking Marquette. Some of the stats I looked at were good. Michigan State, I think,
they got Cam Jones.
Yeah, see, I don't know. Michigan State, I think, is the best Big Ten team. They're going to beat Bryant. That's going to be a pretty easy dub there.
What was it? So they 97% probability. Okay, should we go? Let's get to the Sweet 16.
I almost took Creighton over Auburn, but we're going to go Auburn. I still can't get how they played against Iowa State at the beginning of the year out of my head. And I think they looked like a really good team that game, and the stats on them look good. So Auburn's going to beat Creighton.
They're on a bit of a slide, though. I think they've lost 3 in a row.
3 of their last 4.
3 of the last 4. So
they got plenty of time to figure it out, then.
Maybe they got out of their
system.
They need
to. Sorry, we keep interrupting you, Thomas. They need to talk about the Slam U cover curse. Every team that's got put on Slam U right after went on a slide. Look it up.
Okay. We're rocking with that 12 seed, UC San Diego. They're going to beat Texas A&M. Like I said, I think that the SEC is a little overrated.
So last year it was kind of the Big 12. You think this year the SEC?
I think that they got a lot of hype at the beginning of the year, and you look at Florida, they just ran through that conference tournament. I think that they're the only SEC team that's playing really good right now. So I'm going to take Texas A&M to lose to UC San Diego.
Okay.
I'm going to take Iowa State to beat San Diego State. Like I said, this might be a little bit of wishful thinking, but I think the vibes are going to become higher for them to start the tournament, and I think that they're going to be able to figure out how to win that game. And
when you have Milan and Cujo in attack mode, it's something else. And then Nate Heisey is playing with a lot of confidence, and the presidents seem to be playing with an edge too.
I think Gilbert is a really talented player, but I also don't think it's a coincidence that ever since he stopped playing that they've been turning the ball over less. So
Oh, absolutely not. He was averaging 5 turnovers a game. So
yeah, and I think the defense is probably not as good as him playing in his prime, but like I said, they should hopefully be able to make up for it with offense. So, and then your guys are going to be catching on to a theme here. I love Michigan State against Marquette. Michigan State's going to rule. Auburn's going to beat UC San Diego. And then Michigan State's going to beat Iowa State. Sorry, guys. And then we got Michigan State beating Auburn.
That's a rematch of the 2000 Elite Eight, Iowa State and Michigan State. And you said Michigan State beating Auburn?
Yes.
Okay.
So I got
way to mess up our bracket right away. Yeah.
I got a few upsets kind of sprinkled in there. UC San Diego is probably the craziest thing that I picked there. I've
watched them play a couple of times. Late night ESPN Plus. They're pretty dang good. They're fun to watch.
I was mostly looking at stats of teams that could get free throws and make 3-pointers, and they kind of stood out as one of those teams. So very efficient offensively. And then I think we get a return to March Izzo here. I think this is the year that he kind of has his last run. You know, he's getting older, and I think this is going to be one of his last great teams. So Michigan State.
All wearing Sparty colors right now, Tommy.
Let's go. Sparty.
All right. Are we doing East? Who's East? Brady?
That's me. I don't have much rhyme or reason to any of my picks. I'm not a very avid college basketball watcher, but we're going to be going off the gut.
Okay.
So starting off, Duke. 100% Duke's going to win that game. Then I got Mississippi State. Then I think close game here, but I think Oregon's going to take it out. They're pretty nasty. Arizona versus Akron, Arizona. Then BYU, VCU. BYU is going to roll them.
So far you have every high seed.
Okay. Then we're going to go Wisconsin versus Montana. We're going to go the high seed again with Wisconsin. Then a little bit of an upset here. 7 versus 10 seed. We're going to go with Vanderbilt.
I love St. Mary's.
Vanderbilt has had a weird year. They beat some really good teams, and then they lose some weird games. So they show up to certain games. This wouldn't surprise me.
I think they're gonna pull one out. Then Bama versus Robert Morris. I'm going the Robert Morris Colonials. What do you know about it?
Grant Nelson for Bama's hurt. I don't know if he's supposed to be back, but they're probably second best player. He's hurt.
I'm liking the Colonials here.
Okay.
Crazy call.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe we shouldn't have let Brady pick a bracket.
But this would be a good social media post if they win.
That's what I'm saying.
To promote the.
All right.
House savings on the Colonials. Anyways, next Duke again. You got Duke going. Need to zoom in a little bit. Then I got.
Is there any word on Cooper Flag?
I was just looking that up. He seems there hasn't been any for sure news.
From what I think he'll be fine. He's a freak athlete, and he was up, jumping up and down on the bench. And
he would have played if that was the Final Four. I think
he's not a normal person like you and I that he could come back from an ankle injury quicker.
What's the word on the Houston kid? Isn't there a big Houston injury as well?
Francis was hurt. Or Roberts.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't looked into that as much, but that's very, very big because he's really good for them too. But.
Okay, continue going, Brady. Sorry.
So you have Oregon, Arizona.
Yes. I like Arizona here. Going with Arizona. Next one, BYU. BYU over Wisconsin, and then unfortunately, that is going to be the end of Robert Morris' run, and Vanderbilt is going. All right, and then back at the top, Duke versus Arizona. I think this will be a good game, but if Cooper Flag's in, it's going to be Duke, and it sounds like Cooper Flag will be in, so we're going to go with Duke. And then right here, it's going to be BYU for sure. And then last game, Duke versus BYU.
Do it. Do it. Oh, come on.
It will be Duke. It'll be a great game, but I mean, it's hard to beat Duke right now.
What's the deal with BYU? Why are the vibes so high for BYU?
Because they're a mini NBA team. So I think in a NCAA tournament situation, if they get hot from three, they'll beat anybody. They have the richest donors in college basketball probably in their pocket, and their coach is an NBA coach. I don't know. In short, they're a mini NBA team. So they're really good.
It was like when Fred came to Iowa State, like he brought an innovative offense because they were running NBA sets, and BYU. I mean, when they beat Iowa State at Hilton, I was just, that game. It was just like, why are we not running that stuff? Like you got on. Like
they shoot threes and make a lot of them, and when they miss them, they're such good shooters that the shots are so soft coming off the rim, and then they have the two huge, like broad shoulder dudes, not only tall, I forget their last names, they're like African last names.
Keita, something like that.
And they clean everything up. So, but they struggle to guard. So if they're not hitting the three and they're just trading twos for twos, they're going to lose. But
I will also say too, I filled out my full bracket this morning. This, like statistics wise, like if you look at net rating, these are like 4 of the best 1 seeds we've ever had.
I mean, Auburn is the most
as far as like
of them all. I mean, they've played everybody. I think
and Florida has just been running it up on people.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the. I think the SEC. I think they're overrated, but
I'm saying Auburn didn't duck anybody in the non-conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, they played like 2 cupcake teams.
I think Duke is from a roster standpoint probably the best team, but they also haven't played anybody. I mean, I think the ACC went an entire conference season without 2 ranked teams playing each other.
Yeah,
like that. Like that's how weak the ACC was. So it's hard to know for sure how good Duke is. I think roster wise, Cooper Flag and then Kniffel, like those guys are elite. Obviously,
they have 4 guys that are supposed to get drafted.
Yeah, I mean, so they got the best NBA talent. It's the game obviously has changed so much where you can pay all these guys that would stick around 4 years because they're going to make more in college than they will in Europe. So, Tyler, do the West.
Midwest region.
Let's do
West. All right,
West.
the West region. So for my picks, normally I get really like deep into this, and I like basketball a lot. So I've watched most of these teams play and know a little bit about each team. But in this situation, I always do bad in bracket challenges. I never do well, so you can't ever tell I know anything about basketball. So in this situation, I decided my picks were going to be on the winner of each matchup is the matter of what mascot mascot would win in a fight.
Okay, let's go.
So round 1, Florida versus Norfolk
Yes.
State. Now this could be interesting because a Spartan you would think would beat a Gator, but I'm thinking back in like Spartan times, if a Spartan were to come across a Gator out of the water, they would have no idea what that thing is. And so for that reason, I got the Gator. The Gator's going to come pick them up and barrel roll them in the water.
Okay.
UConn versus Oklahoma. This is a tough pick. I almost went against my theory here because I like Dan Hurley in March as much as I dislike Dan Hurley ever any other time of the year. But I got the Sooners. They are pioneers and they have muskets and gunpowder. They'll take out a Husky.
So if Ben McCollum leaves Drake, there is the rumor that Porter Mosier might be interested in Drake, leaving Oklahoma. He's kind of not super pumped about him, and going back to mid-major.
Interesting.
That'd be another great hire for Drake.
Yeah, and maybe someone that would stick around a while because they like the mid. He likes mid-major, I think. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Memphis versus Colorado State. I got a Tiger, especially a blue Tiger, in a fight over a Colorado State Ram.
What about Bowen Bourne versus Tiger?
I got Tigers, blue Tigers.
Okay.
Yep.
So another interesting one, because Colorado State is Nico Medved, who is
he's going to Minnesota. Yeah.
And isn't Ali Farouk-Manesh still there?
He would be the head coach at Colorado State at that point.
Then he could get his feet wet a little bit, and then when Jacobson retires, Ali will come to you and I, baby.
Ali wants Iowa, so there's that.
Or Northern Iowa.
Then Maryland, Grand Canyon, the Terrapins, which is a turtle for those who didn't know, and the Grand Canyon Lopes, which I think is full for antelopes. And I think an antelope would probably just step on a turtle. I don't think either one of them wants to fight, but I do like this upset. I've watched Grand Canyon a bunch over the years. They play really, 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 really fast, which can be really good or really bad in March Madness. But in this case,
man, you're going to pick Drake to lose.
Missouri versus Drake. In this situation, the Drake Bulldogs have rabies and are really, really mean, and the Missouri Tigers are a cartoon tiger. And for that reason, I have the Drake Bulldogs winning. The Texas Tech Red Raiders.
Drake has shown that they can beat high-level teams.
Yeah. The only thing about this, Missouri is kind of like a home game in Wichita, but there'll be a lot of Drake fans there.
Drake slows it down. There's not going to be a lot of possession, so if they shoot well, they can beat basically anyone. So
yeah, I had
it's
to
a
go
good
Drake
pick.
there. Yep. Texas Tech Red Raiders versus UNC Wilmington Seahawks. Red Raiders, again, gunpowder. Arkansas out of the sky. Arkansas John Calipari's versus the Kansas Bill Selfs. I got the Razorbacks. For one,
these are the only two schools, by the way, in the entire tournament where they ended in Kansas.
Yeah.
So
I think again the mascot a
Razorback.
A Razorbacks beating a Jayhawk, but I do like Calipari. I think they have a high ceiling and a really, really low floor. And I've watched Kansas too much this year. I just don't think for whatever reason. They got zero depth at all.
And
then St. John's Red Storm versus the Omaha Mavericks. I got the Red Storm. Round of 32, I got the Gators.
You got 4 upsets in there in terms of
again, that UConn Oklahoma one, but I had to stick with my picking theory. Florida over the Sooners. Again, I think a Gator. Again, especially a Gator's not just wandering around Oklahoma. If a Sooner were to come across a Gator, it'd be in a swamp. And in that case, I got the Gators over a Pioneer, basically. I got the Tigers over the Lopes. I got the Red Raiders over the Bulldogs. Again, gunpowder. And then the St. John's Red Storm over the Arkansas Razorbacks to go to the Sweet 16. Sweet 16. I can see
Gator versus Tiger.
Florida Gators. Tech versus the Red Storm. I got the Red Storm because gunpowder can't do nothing about a storm. And then Florida versus St. John's. I have the Red Storm.
Good.
Because what's a Gator going to do to a Red Storm? I think St. John's, I really actually do like them a lot. Again, I think they're a high ceiling, low floor type of thing. They are really, really bad on offense, but they're super, super good on defense. And I like Patino, kind of that your deal with Tom Izzo. He's proven that he can win in March. He's done it at multiple places, not just, with one, not just with Montrezl Harrell, at Louisville. He's the only coach to ever coach 6 different teams in the NCAA tournament, which is that's a pretty cool accomplishment. I think that shows his ability to teach teams how to play.
If he takes them to the Final Four, won't it be 4 different teams that he's taken to the Final Four too? Or is it 3 different teams?
Kentucky, Louisville.
Maybe
so
it's
he's
just 3.
Boston, Iona. Did he take Providence to the Final Four?
I'm not sure.
But anyways, and most of my brackets, obviously, I'm sure a lot of people make a lot of brackets, but in most of my brackets, I have St. John's coming out of that region.
Our Final Four is looking pretty solid right now.
Yep. All right, Midwest.
We got to see what Andrew's going to do.
Midwest. Houston's about as hot as any team there is right now. They started, I think, 4-3. Now they're, what are they? I don't know what their record is right now. It doesn't say on here.
33-4.
They've won 23 of 24. And then they've won 26 of 27.
And they're so athletic.
Yep.
Every year, Houston, I don't know how he finds all these guys, but they just rebound like none other, and they're tough to beat.
They're just hard, yeah. We've talked about Tom Izzo in March. I'd say the same for Merck Few at Gonzaga. Clemson McNeese. Clemson's really, really good. They've had some moments. At some point, you got these upsets. I'm going McNeese.
Will Wade, baby.
The boombox before every game.
Yeah.
First manager to ever get an NIL deal. He's got B-dubs and Tick Pick.
I don't really know a lot about High Point and Purdue, but what's the dude's name at Purdue? Braden Smith. He's a veteran guard, and you have Matt Painter, so that's all you need. Illinois, I don't even care what happens in the play-in game. It's gonna be
You don't think Xavier could beat Illinois?
I do, but again,
isn't Xavier 1-9 against the quad one too? Like they haven't beaten anyone good. Any type of competition they've lost.
I mean, West Virginia should have been above these two as well. So, Kentucky and Troy, man, you watch Kentucky and it's like watching an NBA team with how athletic they are. You just don't know who you're going to get. I'm still going with Kentucky. I think, to your point earlier, Tyler, about John Calipari at Arkansas, John Calipari at Kentucky was awful in March. He's gone. It's Kentucky. Utah State, UCLA. UCLA, all time most championships ever in college basketball. It doesn't matter. It's going to be Utah State, and then Tennessee. I'm glad. I'd be more inclined to maybe pick Wolford there, but because Brady took the 15, I'm comfortable with this. I think Tennessee's gonna. I'm gonna go ahead and pick them already. I think they're gonna probably be the one dancing here at the end. Houston, Gonzaga. Again, Houston is just so good right now.
We lost Tyler.
That's all right. I just don't. I can't pick 1 through 4 in the Sweet 16. I'm getting a little crazy here. Okay, he'll be back. Houston, McNeese. It's going to be Houston, and I think Tennessee. I know there's a lot of debate as to whether Rick Barnes can do anything in the tournament after his success or lack thereof at Texas, but I think this is a squad that's got depth. They can shoot, they can defend.
How are we going to decide this?
Want to flip a coin?
Okay.
It'll be that simple. I got a quarter right here. All right.
Heads is the team on top of the bracket. Tails is the team on bottom.
All right. So we're
Michigan
doing
State, St. John.
St. John. So what did you say? Heads is top?
Yeah, heads is Michigan State.
See that.
Okay,
Heads.
perfect. Michigan State. And maybe the next time just catch the coin because that was really loud.
Okay.
Oh.
So this is a penny. Just
Duke is
toss it.
heads. Duke is heads. Yeah.
Let's see that.
Okay.
Heads.
Duke.
Okay.
Okay. Michigan State versus Duke. Michigan State's heads.
Well, yep, didn't think about that. I'll do it a couple times since I didn't.
Or hold up. Or do we want to just ask Tyler if a Spartan would win against the Blue Devil?
Yeah, in this situation, I probably got a Blue Devil because if you know anything about devils, they can occupy your mind space too. And, you know, you can have a spear and armor, but if a devil gets in your mind, it's over.
Okay. And then how about final score? Brady, you pick final score.
Let's go 76.
Duke. To what?
76 to 83.
Yahoo says 86 to 8. 76 to 8 is an invalid loser score. So 80, what did you say, 88?
83.
3, right? Yeah, 3.
Yahoo's never watched 6th grade girls basketball before.
All right. Well, Yahoo agrees with us picking that. Ooh, they disagree with St. John's over Michigan State, but we're rolling with this. We're saving the bracket.
How do we feel, guys?
How do you feel?
I feel good about my region.
Why are you talking trash about my region?
I don't know, man. I don't know about that region.
I got Izzo in March, baby.
But again, the nice thing, and it's also the annoying thing about brackets, is your bracket has just as much chance of being right as my bracket. So who knows?
Okay.
Got to play the games.
I'm not sure if this is going to save, so I got to make a couple.
Okay. Well,
screen grabs.
we're going to figure this out outside of the stream. So we're going to go ahead and end the stream. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Look out for more information about how to enter into our bracket pool. But pretty simply, it's free to enter. All you have to do is follow the 4 pages that we mentioned: the Scoop Around the Loop, Springer Brothers Facebook page, Brady Holland's Facebook page, and my Facebook page. And we will be sending out more information about that. Should make it super easy. And thank you guys for watching.
Peace out.